Welcome back, you guys, to another Because of Sales podcast. In this episode, we've got none other than Chicago's finest, Garrett Campbell. I've known Garrett for a few years now, and in this podcast episode, we go from how he went from sneaker reselling college kid to 1099 remote closer to then scaling his business Closing Bible past 6 figures a month, running that for 5 years, I want to say, and then him making the decision to shut that down to go all in on his software, Objectionly. So this episode is a little bit of a catch-up episode where him and I talk about what's new on each side, and we do get into a lot of strategy along the lines of how he's growing Objectionly, signing clients for that, and making the product better. So if you guys are at all interested in seeing the progression from sales rep to business owner to software business owner, then this is the episode for you. But before we get into it, you guys, please go down, subscribe to the first link in the description. That is our newsletter. It is free. It is a weekly edition where we aim to give you a pulse on the state of selling through social media posts, articles, recent events, memes, tips, tricks, all of the above, so you know what's happening in the world of selling. So before we get into it, go down below, subscribe for free. Now let's get started. All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Because of Sales podcast. This week we got Garrett Campbell in here, and a longtime homie coming from the high ticket space, now in the software space. So Garrett, you're in Chicago, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So Chicago based, building a software company, early days, just like we are here at Because of Sales. And we're going to get into some good stuff. So Garrett, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Stoked to have you on. We've known each other for 4 years now, probably. So yeah, it's been a cool ride knowing you and seeing what you've changed and evolved and, kept doing. And then, obviously I feel like we're on almost like a similar evolution with, different ventures and different stuff like that. So it's been good knowing you for a while here.
Yeah, dude, it's been good, man. We were just talking before this about running marathons, and maybe we can get into the whole running thing and why, everyone hates on running, but like why we're crazy enough to do it. We're going to both run the San Antonio Marathon. So see you guys there if you're there. But anyways, man, so Garrett you're the sole founder, right, of Objectionly?
Yeah, so I started it back in April. We do now have a technical co-founder, CTO, co-owner, whatever you want to call it. Like, he has equity, so he does all the technical side of things. Like, I don't know how to code. I understand the basics of it. Yeah, I definitely, if you want to build a big software company, you need someone who knows how to code and like lead product. So I have a co-owner.
Okay, so building a sales software, what does it do? Like, you've probably elevator pitched it so many times. Like, can you give it to us?
Absolutely. Objectionly basically integrates with like your core call recording softwares to basically read sales call data to figure out like, why are people buying and why are people not buying? So the two core like outcomes that we really drive for companies is for sales managers, saving them an absorbent amount of time doing call review. And then for marketers, understanding like what's actually happening on the phones for the prospects and like what pain points or objections or buying reasons, like aspirations that they have, to make sure that marketing actually aligns with sales. I think like, forever marketing and sales always point the finger at each other. So this is kind of like the truth in the middle that kind of helps them make sure that they're on the same page. Normally when you're doing call review, right? Like if you were seeing a dip in like one of your closers' close rates, you would grab 3 or so sales calls, listen to them for about an hour a pop, spend 3 hours taking notes. And really majority of the time that you're actually doing the call review, you're just trying to figure out like, all right, if I only had one thing that I could tell the sales rep to change, like what would that actually be? So they can increase close rates and close more deals and drive more revenue. So this basically just shows per sales rep, like what the main objection is that's actually occurring the most frequently. And then it shows you every single moment and every single sales call of like where that actually comes up. So you can cut call review time by 80% and then just get to the part that actually matters. So when you're in your one-on-ones and your sales team meetings, you actually know what to focus on. That's going to be the biggest driver for the team.
Nice, dude. I want to get into more of how you're selling that, but I want to give the listeners more context. So I don't expect you guys to do this, but if you really wanted a lot more context on the come up, you can go to my personal YouTube channel, Serial Sales Bro Pod. We ran an episode way back in the day. Life was a lot different then for both of us. But if you want to know more about Garrett's come up, you can listen to that. So we'll touch on it a little bit, man. So you just mentioned you have a technical co-founder. You kind of by nature are more of the sales guy. That's the approach that you've had, and that's the background that you have. How did you even end up in sales to begin with?
Ooh, wild ride. So I went to college for chiropractic. Literally since middle school, I thought that I was going to be a chiropractor. It's what I was dead set on. Long story short, went to college. One of my, Betsy Rogers, my anatomy and physiology 2 professor, mentioned that she used to be a chiropractor and she started her own practice and failed. That kind of gave me a freak out moment in college to where I dropped out about a week after that conversation. I called up anyone on my phone who made any type of money at all. And they all just laughed and said like, yep, just get into sales, dude. Like that's what you should do. I ignored their advice and I was like, no, I need to be a business owner. I had an ego to me. So I ended up flipping shoes. So like Jordans and Yeezys and like very like niche, like hard to find designer shoes and stuff. Flipped shoes for a while, made some money, lost some money, got scammed a few times. And then somehow, some way through that, I actually got connected into the world of like high ticket sales and started selling for a sales agency based out of Toronto. Made like $6,000 a month and thought I was balling out. Sales agency that shall not be named, a little not ethically aligned with like me. Thought sales wasn't for me. Ended up finding a good high ticket sales role with good ethics and morals and all that jazz that wasn't through the sales agency. And then I was like, man, if I sell something I really believe in, I can make a lot more money and do a lot better. So I started doing pretty good numbers with that. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into the world of high ticket sales and sales after that.
What was it that attracted you to like high ticket sales versus some other type of sales like insurance, medical device, software, that kind of stuff?
So I went to college in Bloomington, Illinois, which a lot of people don't know this. It's the headquarters of State Farm, Country Financial Insurance, like a lot of like, it's a big insurance, town. It was also where my college used to be. So I actually applied and like went in for interviews at like a couple of these places. And I just saw a bunch of people in there that were in their like 50s and 60s. And they're like, if you bust your ass for like 5-6 years, then you can build a pretty good book of business and have some nice recurring income. And I was like, I don't know if I want to live the lives of these people. So before I knew about this world, I was considering a path like that, whether it was car sales or insurance sales or stuff like that. But ultimately, I have very entrepreneurial tendencies, and that's like always been in my blood. Like everyone in my family is pretty much self-employed. So I think it's probably the most entrepreneurial type of sales that you could get into. And I mean, at the time, like when I was flipping shoes, like I was driving 3 hours round trip to make $200 profit, like to go sell a pair of shoes in person. And I was like, meeting people at police stations to sell shoes in cash because it was a lot of money and it was like a little bit of a sketchy crowd. So when I found out I could make $500 in an hour on a Zoom call in my bedroom without driving hours or, putting any money into a pair of shoes that might be fake, I was like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, this is way better.
I can't remember. Did you say you graduated school or did you?
Yeah. So I dropped out my sophomore year, technically finished my second semester. That was when COVID hit. So yeah, like I was pretty mentally checked out. And then when COVID hit and I realized I was paying the same price for college as when I was home with my parents, I was like, obviously I'm out of here. I was already pretty much out. And then when that happened, I was like, all right, it's time to get out.
The early days of high ticket sales, you were on an offer that was decent, but you weren't super aligned with it. But then you mentioned you went on and like found your stride basically with another team. What was that like for you? It sounded like, you were making $6,000 a month and you were already kind of over the moon. But when you started making like a lot better money and feeling really good about what you're selling, like what did your life look like at that point? What were your goals at that time? Like just take me back to, I don't even know, like what year was that too? Like take me back to that time.
This was like 2018, 2019, like ish. And dude, life was good. Like I was in Bloomington, Illinois in a college town. My rent was like $500, $600 a month, lived by myself. So I was living on like Jack's pizzas and the strongest coffee I could find at Walmart. So I was living on like $1,000 a month and making like 20, 25 G's a month in commission. Like I was just stacking my bank account. Like I grew up in such a small town to where it's like, be very frugal, don't spend that much money, save as much as you can. And to like be making actually like great money and not having any expenses. Like I was just trying to like save as much as physically possible. So it was a great life. I mean, it was a simple life. Like, take Zoom calls, make some money and just stack cash. Like it was a great life.
Yeah. So you were making a lot more than what you were spending, which is what I was aiming to do. Like the same thing when I transitioned in. When I got in, I was like coming from the sales career and like making money. So I found success in like a different industry. And then I was like, whoa, this one seems cool. And that's how we met. Speaking of that, talk about, closing Bible. So for those of you guys that don't know, Garrett is winding down or has wound down Closing Bible, which is a sales training and placement company, to go all in on Objectionly. But I mean, that was a huge chapter of your life. Like there's a million questions I could ask you about that, but you ran that for how many years?
5.
5 years.
Yeah, that's a long time, dude. You guys were like pretty consistent. Always heard good things about you guys. You mentioned like, okay, you're kind of a little bit more entrepreneurial. Did you just get to the point with closing where you were like, hey, I could do a little bit more of this process and make more? Or like, why did you kick off Closing Bible?
Honestly, real answer, I just wanted to learn how to run a business, and like I knew how to sell, like that's what I knew how to do. So the last team that I was on, it was like 2 or 3 closers on the team, no setters, and we had a sales manager. And like when I came onto that team, they had like a 25, like 30% close rate. And I started taking calls, and I was like, hopefully I can just like match their close rate like by month 1, month 2. And I started closing like 40, 50, 60, like come month 3, month 4, month 5. And I was like, damn, like, there could be like a real significant lift in this team. So we went from like 200 grand a month to 800 grand a month from me just like I didn't want to be like number one in the leaderboard and there'd just be like a massive gap from number one to number two reps. So I started just coaching the other reps. I wanted them to make a lot of money and be competitive with me. So I started training them, and like I wrote a whole like separate sales script and was showing them like how I was selling it. And then the whole close rates of the whole team lifted, like the business quadrupled. Like they did some other stuff. They increased ad spend and made a couple things better in the business. But I just had my sales commissions that I was making, which was great. But I was like, this business quadrupled, like, close rate and show rate differences I had a big impact on. I wonder what would happen if I like did this for other teams, because I was just kind of doing that pro bono to like help out the reps on the team. And that's when I was like posting on Twitter, just like I took a couple calls a day. Like I tried this thing on a call, it worked, and I built up a little bit of an audience, and people just kept asking me to like, hey, can you give me a rep for my team? Like, can you change my sales script? Can you like train our sales team? Like just little like one-off like kind of freelancer stuff. So yeah, 1 month I just started saying yes to that instead of denying it. And it was just freelance stuff. I started managing sales teams on RevShare. I had no business doing that. And it just kind of evolved into Closing Bible and Hire Startups.io. So yeah, main thing was really, I want to learn how to run a business. I've saved up over 6 figures at this point from closing. This is just a skill that I want to learn, and this is what I know how to do. I didn't imagine that would turn into a half a decade of running a business, but it did.
So for the sales reps that are watching, before we get into the fancy business ownership software stuff, what do you think that you were doing that other people were not, that allowed you to break 20, 25K months, to smoke other people on the leaderboard? Like, you've probably been asked this question a lot. There's probably a lot that goes into that. But if you had to really deduce it down to a short, actionable piece of advice, what would you say?
I knew the product in the industry really well. There was some stuff that I sold that were like selling to like e-com founders for like agency services and stuff. And I just never sold that stuff very well at all. The world of finance, I was always so obsessed with. In my free time, I was watching podcasts on. This probably goes against some traditional sales advice, but like I would nerd out about my knowledge on that. And I think it just gave so much trust so early to prospects that like, if this is the sales guy, what's the fulfillment team and like, the main people running the company, like they probably know a lot too. And then beyond that, I think it was just a little like small town charm. I think just building trust was dramatically like beneficial for me. So like building real relationship and like really understanding these humans at like a deep level and like hearing them beyond just whatever I needed to say to get a commission check, and actually showing that I had a true care for the human and understanding them, paired with my knowledge on the product and the industry, I think just helped build such an immense amount of trust that they knew I was doing them well by whatever it was that I was selling them.
So growing Closing Bible, when it came to not working with the businesses, but working with the sales reps, what was the growth trajectory of that? For context, for the people listening, Closing Bible, it's everyone calls it something different, like program, community, whatever. It's an online business that sells training, placement, group support, call structure, a very like popular business model now that people run across all different niches, including myself. So like, what was the growth trajectory of that? And when did you decide like, all right, man, we got something here. Let me make this my full thing and go all in with it?
It was pretty much the month that, I don't know what happened in my closing role, but something just told me like, let's take my calendar to half capacity and see what's going on here. Because I was denying people that were trying to give me money for random freelance sales stuff for probably a good like 2 months, just because I was too busy and I was making great money. I'm like saving so much money every month for my commissions. Like, why would I do anything else besides this? But 1 month I was like, let's just see what's up. And I just started saying yes to hopping on calls with different people and basically selling whatever they wanted and just doing that. And that month I made like 40 grand from like side stuff that wasn't even closing. And I was like, oh shit, I think there's a business here. We had a huge, drop in revenue from month 1 to month 2, but I was like, there's clearly something here. So, I mean, yeah, as far as growing it, like month 1 was like 40K, which was cool. Month 2 was probably 10K because I didn't know how to run a business. But yeah, I mean, we just grow steadily from organic content. We did like okay numbers. And then once I started learning like how to run paid ads, like that's when we like really, really started scaling.
What was the point for you where you kind of got like desensitized to the money, and there might be multiple points as you grow, but like your first moment where you're like, wow, dude, I'm really good at making money and I don't need to be worried as much about this little stuff here and here, and I should just keep doing this because I'm good at it. Is there a point that comes to mind?
I think honestly, it was just like the circle that I had around me, you know, in the online world, the infamous 100K a month and stuff. I mean, obviously for sales guys, 10K a month is the number. And then in the business owner world, 100K a month is the number. But I mean, I have some friends that are pretty close to me that will close like 40, 50 million a year contracts with like one client. So I think getting dwarfed by my friends in my friend group kind of helped me realize like I ain't shit and like there's levels to the game. So I think it just helped me just kind of get a bigger perspective of like how big things can get and how insignificant the numbers were that I was doing. And I mean, once your expenses are covered and you have a little nice thing here or there that you buy yourself or you go on a cool trip here or there, money isn't marginally all that different. So I think it was a blend of, you know, moving to Miami and getting that out of my system and buying a cool couple fancy things and going on a couple fancy trips and then getting dwarfed by my friends, you know, kind of helped me get desensitized from that.
No Lamborghini yet, huh?
No, I didn't have a car.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I didn't have my car recently for like 2 months. I just got it back, but I realized I was like, dude, I really don't even need this thing. Like, I just got a little e-bike and ride it around everywhere.
Yeah, Austin's a pretty walkable city from like the time that I spent there.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. So you're a sales guy who knows how to sell. You can collect cash, but then on the other end of that, when you're a business owner, comes fulfillment, right? So what was your experience going from sales guy to business owner and actually having to build out like a team, operations, client success, all that kind of stuff? Was it easy for you? Was it hard for you? What was that like?
Yeah, I think I was strong in marketing and sales. And then I obviously cared deeply about clients and I knew how to be a good sales guy. So I think fulfillment like kind of came natural. I think operations and hiring was where I had the biggest deficiencies and where I really had to like claw and grow to like learn to get good at some of those things. The amount of times that I just overhired or overpaid certain people on the team and had insane payroll costs to the point to where it just ate up a majority of my margins. And then I had to restructure comp structures, fire people, kind of like rebuild the team over and over again. There was a good 2 different periods of the business where we just got so over bloated and I had to redo the whole thing. So I mean, I definitely had to spend a good amount of money on masterminds and all that stuff to kind of understand the ops and finance and, you know, kind of like hiring side of things. So that was definitely a big deficiency for me that I kind of grew and learned over time. It's cheaper and you're going to be more profitable having a phenomenal team of A players and operate with a lean team than having 40 or not even 40, but, you know, 15, 20 C players to where you constantly have to overhire to, you know, help their deficiencies and have big payroll costs.
Did you find the silver bullet when it came to hiring, or do you just have like incrementally gotten better over time?
I think I just got better over time. What's the saying? It's like right bus, right seat, right person. And like hiring for the role and not hiring the person was big for me. I think early days, it was like, this guy's talented. Like, let's figure out where he can squeeze into the company instead of like, this is the role and this is exactly what I need. And I'm going to find the person that fits that was something that I had to learn over time. And just because someone's talented doesn't mean that you should hire them if they don't fit the actual need of the business at that exact moment. So yeah. And I think also like more than anything, it's just like continually relearning what a good hire and someone that's actually talented looks like. Like I think when your business is small, you're just happy that anyone wants to work full time for you. And then as you get bigger and you can actually afford better and better talent, your bar for standards continues to raise. So it was just thinking, oh my God, I just hired the best person on the planet. This guy's going to change my business. And then them not panning out and then continuing to kind of raise your bar was like a relearned lesson every single time. I mean, we've went through 4 people on the technical side of my software company from April to now. This guy, I think, will be a for lifer for sure. I mean, he's got equity, so hopefully. But yeah, it's a never ending, you know, lesson where you raise your bar for standards and quality of people.
With Closing Bible, I'm curious, and this is kind of like building off of what you just mentioned, but hiring, it's like from my personal experience, it's one of the hardest parts of business once you get out of sales rep land, I guess. But I'm curious for your business, was there any hire that you made that was just like a complete game changer to your business in a way that you didn't necessarily expect? Not like a sales guy who could just close at a crazy percentage, but like any niche hire that you were like, if I could make a recommendation to make sure you nail this, do this because it saved me this much time, it made me this much money, that kind of stuff.
I'd say an operations manager and a CSM made a world of a difference for me. I can get shit done very fast and then just create a path of destruction behind me because in the past did things super inefficiently and it would just create so many problems inside of the business. So having an ops manager to be like, hey, this is what I do and this is the outcome that I desire and this is how I plan on doing it, like make this smooth so this doesn't break everything, was tremendously helpful because oftentimes if you're good at marketing and sales and you're good at client acquisition, like money and growing revenue is never necessarily the problem, but what's going to slow you down is everything and every process you're doing being ungodly inefficient. So the right operations person for someone, if you're wired like me, can help you go tremendously faster because lack of operations will normally slow down your ability to grow revenue more than anything.
All right, you guys, quick break for the sponsor of this week's podcast episode, the Serial Sales Community. If you're looking for sales training, go to YouTube. There are hundreds of thousands of hours of sales training on YouTube for free from the best salespeople in the world. The Serial Sales Community exists to bridge the gap between the job that you want in the remote sales space and the job that you have now. So no matter what kind of sales experience you have, as long as you have reasonable expectations as to what you can achieve, our goal is to help you get there as easy as possible and as fast as possible while minimizing any downside that could come along the way. Last month, we shared 470 open 1099 sales roles. These are not roles that you find on LinkedIn or Indeed or Glassdoor. These are found through connections, agencies, recruiters, so on and so forth. If you want access to those roles and you want to make sure that you can break into this industry and have success without relying on your ability to handle objections, go down to the second link below. Check out the Serial Sales Community. If you book a call with the team, mention Because of Sales, we'll give you 5% off any membership you choose. Now back to the pod.
I want to talk a little bit, just hit on it really quick because some people listening might be in this boat, but like paid ads, book a call funnel for high ticket products, services, coaching, whatever we want to call it. You obviously ran a lot of paid ads for your business. You did it for at least a few years, right? What's been like your kind of overall takeaway having to learn that? I'm sure you hired people to help you or do it for you. You've probably gone through multiple people, just like a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs. What can you talk about with paid ads when it comes to high ticket products and services?
So the biggest levers that you could pull are top of funnel, as in like if you can boost a click-through rate, like for the sales guys and non-marketers listening, click-through rate is just the amount of people that see an ad that actually click to go to your website or whatever the next thing is that you're doing. If you can triple that, you're going to make drastically more money by basically just making a better ad than you are increasing a close rate, right? Which might hurt some of the sales guys listening, but like it's so much more challenging to take a close rate from 20 to 30%. That's more training of a sales team, maybe hiring certain people, firing certain people, getting a better sales manager, like hours upon hours upon hours of training. It's very difficult to do. And that will still give you a 50% lift. Whereas if you just make a better video for your ads and take your click-through rate from 1%, which is like average to maybe slightly above average, to 3%, you can triple, quadruple your entire funnel. So understanding that tweaking top of funnel metrics is easier and provides large multiples in the like return on ad spend that you actually get. So you want to optimize basically your tweaks and your levers from top to bottom, but your messaging is actually pulled from back to front. And not a lot of people understand that. I can say, for the whole world of courses and all that jazz, like I'm sure you've seen the don't do anything, you don't need any skills, you can do this in 1 hour a day without showing your face and blah, 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 blah. That's going to get a bunch of clicks and a lot of people through the funnel, but no one's going to give you money. So like your top of funnel metrics are going to look good because you're going to get a lot of clicks and a lot of leads, but it's not actually going to make your return on ad spend much better. So that's taking what's going to help you get more top of funnel clicks messaging wise. Whereas if you pull messaging from bottom of funnel, like sales calls and client fulfillment, and figure out like, okay, out of the people that give me money, that get great client results and my client success team love, what pain points and problems, like what are these people saying? And if you can pull those messages to the top of funnel, you might not have the most insane like click-through rate or whatever, which might be contradictory to what I just said, but your overall return on ad spend is going to be so much better because your messages that you're actually sending through the whole funnel are going to bring in the right people from day one. So you pull levers from top of funnel down to bottom of funnel to have the biggest returns, but you pull messaging from back to front. So once you optimize like a specific ad creative, you then have to pull that same message from ad to landing page to VSL to headlines to pre-call flows all the way down to the sales call and what's actually being said in the sales call to make sure there's congruency from that message from top to bottom.
I've experienced that firsthand with some of the businesses that I've run. Just like if you focus on the top of funnel, like you mentioned, click-through rate, if it's 1% and you get it to 3%, you are literally tripling the throughput of the funnel, right? And like, I'm a big math guy. I like to think in numbers and percentages and all that kind of stuff. And that's very easy to understand. So if you just visualize a funnel, even as a salesperson, right? Like I work with people in the community that I run to land jobs, and that's kind of what we do is like we break it up into a funnel in terms of like what happens first and then, the whole entire process. And it's like, well, if we can get this, 20% higher here, 30% here, whatever, like this is the throughput. So I think that could be super useful for people outside of ads, outside of sales job applications, right?
It would be no different as a sales guy to be like, I'm going to practice to being the best interviewer on the planet, but I'm not going to try to go get more interviews. I'm not going to try to reach out to more businesses, right? If you just reach out to 10 times more businesses, I promise you, even if you're not the best on the planet at interviews, you're naturally just going to have a higher likelihood of getting hired.
All right, dude. So let's wrap up closing Bible talk. So you're running this business, things are going well. You could keep running it if you wanted to. You could keep saving some money, but you got the itch for something new. Maybe it's your friends that are closing $40-50 million deals. Like, what incentivized you or what drove you to ultimately wind down Closing Bible and then start the next thing?
I think in short, I don't know whatever first business it was that you started, but naturally, whatever your first business is, you start that business because that's the only thing that you know. And, after I had 5 years of running that business, I actually got dinner with this dude who sold his company for like $40 million to Fubo. It was like an online gambling type company, like software. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to grow this business and then I'm going to sell it for like 20 million bucks, maybe 10 million, whatever my goal was at the time. And he was like, if you were to start from scratch today, would you actually run this business? And I was like, no, there's zero chance that I would run this. He's like, then just why are you running it now? He's like, if you knew everything you knew today and you had to start from scratch, what would you actually run? And that just like got the wheels turning for me. And like with the service-based business, with like the nature of, what it was that I have, like it was just a bit of a hamster wheel, right? Because like you have all these fixed expenses like ads and payroll and software costs and all these different things, but it was a one-time sale. You build no recurring revenue, you build no enterprise value. I mean, I did sell Hire Startups IO last month, like real enterprise value. It's very challenging to build in like a service-based business like that. And I just had a really big vision of building something really big. I had the itch for software for like 2 years, but I mean, the real thing is like just kind of like if we want to call it the money model, since Hermosi recently crushed it, right? It's like I essentially had a hamster wheel that I created for myself every month to where you have 40 grand a month in expenses. Day one of the month, you're now at zero and you have to absolutely sprint every single month to get north of that 40. And then after that, you can make some profit for yourself. And then it's the next month and then you're back negative 40 and you got to push to get past that. And I was like, man, like this is quite the hamster wheel to where you just have to sell every month because there's no recurring revenue. And, with a business like a software business, you have very low expenses. And even though you don't make as much per sale day one where you get all the cash front loaded, you do build recurring revenue. And over time, you don't start at zero every single month and your revenue ungodly exceeds your expenses. And the work that you do, in April still pays you 2 years later, and it builds real enterprise value. And I just got done with building a cash flow business and I wanted to build like a real big entity. I have really big aspirations. Like I wouldn't sell this company for anything less than like 100 million. And I could see myself doing this for the next 20 to 30 years. And I just felt like I wanted to build and run a company that was at my, I don't know what the term for it would be. I guess like my level. Like I just felt like I was kind of beyond the business that I was running and I was a little tired of it. So a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of just wanting a bigger and better opportunity. And I mean, yeah, when my friends are like closing one deal that's like 90 years of my revenue, that, kind of keeps it in the back of your mind.
Is that the actual number? Did you run that number before? 90 years of revenue?
I just grabbed it out of the back of my head, but
I was going to say, if you had actually ran that number and that's what it was, I know that was eating at you a little bit.
Yeah.
We're kind of on the same wave and we talked about it before, but like that's kind of what I'm doing with this business, right? Like we've done the service-based stuff. I still run mine, but you know, it's exactly what you mentioned, man. Like it's cash flow, teaches you what you do like about certain businesses, what you don't like about others. And then, I mean, we both landed in, I think, vehicles that are kind of infinite scale, right? Like one to many. You basically build one thing, you publish one thing, host one product, and 10 people can use it, 100 people, 1,000 people. A million does not make a difference to you. Maybe for you because software like can break and stuff, but no, I mean, it's an evolution. And I don't know, for the sales reps listening to this, who's like, I just want to have my first 10K month, you should absolutely get the 10K month. You should go for the 20, 30, you know, however much you want to make.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural evolution. Like you sell, you go stack 100K, you learn how to sell, and that skill is invaluable to whatever it is you do in the future. It's very challenging to go from like a sales role to building a software company because don't expect to make an absorbent amount of cash like month one. That will not happen. You're not going to make 40K month one of a software normally. Whereas sales role, cash flow business, and then building a business with some enterprise value that has, you know, a higher barrier to entry and inherently like a little bit more risk associated with it, where the payoff is going to be later.
So the software is called Objectionly. What's the domain on that?
Objectionly.com.
Okay. You got the .com. There you go. But before it was not Objectionly. So what, we talked a little before, but like you can drop the name if you want. And then what made you change it to Objectionly?
I used to clown people so hard for caring about the name of their business until it became a problem for me. So this is interesting. It was called Conversion IQ. And at the time, I was like, this is a great name. I'm like, we're focused on conversions and my software is kind of like brain behind conversions. So Conversion IQ makes sense. I was like, oh, .com's taken, I'll just use .co. And dude, there is conversioniq.com, which got acquired by GoInflow, which is like a CRO agency for e-com. So there's conversioniq.com and there's conversioniq.ai, which is another AI software company. And I built a wait list of like 500 people for the software before we actually launched it and brought it live. And I started dialing some of these people. And one of my calls was a sales rep who applied to work for conversioniq.ai. And he's like, dude, like, did I get the role? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You joined my wait list. He's like, no, I didn't. I interviewed with you guys like 2 weeks ago. Like, you're calling me. Like, did I get the role? I'm like, no. And I said on my website, he's like, oh, this is not what I applied for. Like, this is conversioniq.ai. So I would be calling people. I would be marketing for what it was that I do. And people would look up like conversioniq.io or AI or whatever it is. And they would just be like, oh, I don't want a Facebook commenter. Like, I don't want this. Or like, I'm not an e-com business. Like, this isn't for me. And there was just so much confusion. And as, you know, we started pushing for SEO and running Google ads, I'm like, I probably shouldn't be competing on my own business name. So let's build a name of a business that other people don't have and just honestly get rid of the confusion.
Objectionly, obviously the word objection is a big word in the sales space. There has to be some competition with the word objection, but like when you do Objectionly, was it a lot more free or was there anything out there with that name?
Anyone watching this, continue watching the podcast. But if you type in Objectionly into Google, it is a ghost land. Like there is nothing for the name. It might say like, did you mean objectively when you type it in? But apart from that, like it's a ghost land. There's like some random post where someone misspelled the word objection and it came up, but like there's nothing. So it's so easy for us to dominate like SEO and Google ads with that name. And there's just no confusion. Like you can hear the name and like, be like, I kind of get the gist of like what this is. So it's what I doubled down on.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's all like objectively. So yeah, you could crush that. How did you come up with that? Did you use ChatGPT or something?
Dude, it was a lot. Like I tried to get so fancy with like different names and I bought that domain and I kept looking for other names because I didn't love it. Honestly, at first, like I tried to go for like Thalio because the thalamus is basically the part of the brain that connects new information that routes into your brain and then like feeds it to certain pieces of the brain where that information is relevant. But I like dropped a voice message into like multiple group chats I was in and I'm like, spell this. Everyone spelled it wrong. And I was like, this is too confusing. So Objectionly, honestly, was just the least confusing name that was the easiest to dominate like Google and SEO. So that's what I went with.
So you gave us the elevator pitch earlier. It's basically software that helps people take actual sales call data, like what people are saying on these calls, route it back up to marketing to make their marketing more effective, to get more sales and to create like kind of a flywheel, right? I had the thought before starting Because of Sales of like software is a play, everybody knows it, but I was like, what would I build in the sales space? Because that's kind of where I exist, right? That would actually move the needle, actually be different, actually be a competitor. So how did you land on the actual function of what Objectionly does? I know people that like they have like makeshift chat GPT models or whatever that like kind of, I haven't used Objectionly, so I don't know like the full extent of it, but people are trying to like imitate what it is that you guys are doing. How did you nail down on that as like the play versus maybe like a sales trainer that you talk to or something like that?
It's quite the evolution. It's funny. I have like the original ChatGPT conversation thread of the birth of the business, which is fucking iconic. This was basically me with some caffeine and nicotine at about 11 p.m. until about 5 a.m. going back and forth with ChatGPT until I basically landed on the idea. I basically reverse engineered on my iPad. I just wrote out like criteria for an awesome business. And it was like, sell to rich people, have recurring revenue. It has to be software. It has to be AI related. I have to be able to charge a decent amount of money like per month. Like I didn't want to have like a $10 a month software and be in a growing industry. So I basically put all that into ChatGPT. I broke down like, that I'm obviously pretty knowledgeable in the world of marketing and sales. So I'd ideally want it to be in that realm. And then I just typed in like other businesses that I admired. Like I'm quite the data and, math guy similar to you. So I was like, I really admired the business Plecto and I love Hyros and I love some of these other businesses. What do you got for me? And it spit out like 20 ideas. Most of them are shit. I kind of kept going back and forth until I eventually kind of landed on the idea, or it kind of gave me this. And I was like, okay, there's really something here. And then I thought about it further and I realized like what you just said, there's so many people trying to duct tape together ChatGPT and Google Sheets to kind of like half do what this does. So I actually started calling these people and be like, hey, I saw you're trying to like duct tape some stuff together with ChatGPT. How's that going for you? And they're like, oh, dude, we don't even use it. Like, it doesn't actually work. And I'm like, if so many people are trying to build this and there's no actual solution on the market for this, like, is anyone else like actually doing this before I like put my life into this and like, shut down a whole 7-figure business to do this? And really the only real competitor as I did that research was Gong. Gong is a $7 billion company. They do 300 million a year in revenue. They've raised 300 million, but they charge an absorbent amount of money. Like they're anywhere from 50 to 150,000 a year, depending upon the business. And they really only sell to like enterprise or like pretty large businesses. And not too many people in our world really even use that. And to be frank, they have pretty awful marketing and like they're not all that like top of mind of anyone in this space, or not even this space, but just like in general. So I'm like, if I could make a fraction of a business as big as Gong, I could have a pretty sizable outcome for myself. So that's where I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
I know somebody that started a software, you might know him too, basically ended up going up against a feature of Gong, I think it was, or HubSpot or something. And I think he wound it down. He's focusing on other stuff now in the sales space. These companies that have 8 figures to throw around willy-nilly and hire the best talent, poach from the biggest companies in the world, there's not really much to stop them from, seeing an idea they like and building it in-house. So I'm curious with you, how do you view that? And you kind of touched on it a little bit. It's like, dude, the pie is, I don't even remember the number you said.
$7 billion company.
Yeah, the pie is $7 billion large. If I could just get a little bit of that, we'll be more than all right. But yeah, was that like a big thing for you? Or is like you wanted to have almost like a moat in the concept, or you were like, no, I'm just going to compete and get my share?
So I'm a little fucker. So I went through the whole Gong sales process like 4 different times. These sales guys, you got to flag me, like stop letting me get on your calendar. I went through their whole sales process on multiple occasions, acting like I ran multiple different businesses to try to figure out if they were going to do anything on the marketing side of things. Because like a big feature of ours and like why a lot of people buy our software is to save time doing call review. But there's another arm of it, which is marketers getting feedback on what's happening on sales calls. And I spoke with Gong sales reps, apologies in advance if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, I love you. And they had no intentions of doing anything as far as like getting sales call data and feeding it back to marketing to make smarter decisions. So I was like, I think they're totally missing the mark on this. And there's the argument of like, oh yeah, like, these big companies that have a lot of money to throw around, well, like they could absolutely like build a competitor that could potentially even be better, faster than me. But the reality is as companies get bigger, they stop innovating. And it's not the founder that's actually leading any change in their stuff. They throw a project manager on it, throw $1 million at it, and they're like, maybe this turns into something, maybe it flops. If you are just undeniably like so focused on this and you put all of your time and attention into this, regardless of company size, like you can grow something to be very sizable despite any competition.
I'm maybe asking this a little bit selfishly, but you go from cash flow heavy business that has been working for a few years to bootstrap software. It's not high ticket. It's not as like cash flow heavy in the beginning. Like you definitely, I'd assume, took like a nice little pay cut to get this off the ground early. What was that like for you? And I think I saw you post like MRR the other day or ARR. Like you guys are getting somewhere, but like it's night and day difference, right? So what was that experience like for you?
It was hard. I mean, making the decision to stop taking on clients, and obviously we service clients for like a good, 4 months or whatever for Closing Bible to finish out all those contracts, but making a decision to shut down the business and then having to line up all 13 of your employees and fire them back to back was like one of the most painful days of my entire life. And like it fucking sucked. Like apart from shutting down the business, like having back-to-back 30-minute meetings with 13 people in a row and firing all of them is like, that's the shittiest day on the planet. Like it was so hard. So, I mean, I built up a decent nest egg for myself. So like, I'm good. But yeah, I mean, seeing 100,000, 150,000 come in the bank every month to now, like, to be frank, negative for months until we started building this in April. We had our first user in June for $297. Like, yeah, it was a substantial smack in the face, smack to the ego and all of that. But like, I think again, my mindset is just like, that's why people won't go down this path is because it fucking sucks. Like it's hard, like taking a massive pay cut and reducing the amount of money that I'm spending on a personal level and reducing the amount of money that comes in my personal bank account and business bank account for months on end is like, just why a lot of people won't take this path. And that's why there's less competition. And that's why it's going to work.
Yeah, for sure. I was curious because doing similar thing here and I'm still running the other one, but there might be a point where I go all in. That's kind of the hope or the intention, not the hope. That's the wrong word. The intention. So let's talk about, getting some of these first users in. We talked a little bit before recording, but you're doing a lot of like network affiliate deal. Luckily, you've been able to build personal brand, connect with people, get into masterminds, but like top 3 strategies that you're using right now to acquire clients, like what's working for you?
Affiliates are massive. Like I realized very early. So like, our pricing is basically tiered based upon call volume, right? So if you're below 100 taken calls a month, we're at $297 a month. If you're north of 500 taken calls a month, we're at about $1,250 a month. And then we have discounts for going annual. And then we have tiers kind of everywhere in between based upon their call volume levels, right? So for me to spend money on ads, it's not like we're getting $6,000 upfront day one on a sales call. So it's a little bit more challenging to be profitable early on ads. Like we could do it. We're just going to lose money for a month or two before we're profitable on a user. And that kind of restricts the amount of money that you can spend on ads. And I'm like, if I could find one person that can go and get me 20 clients, wouldn't it be more worth it to spend money acquiring those people? So I went really heavy on affiliates. 95% of our growth is just from affiliates. It's like, who has our audience, who has our client base, and how can we create like beneficial mutual relationships with these people to where it's a win-win for both parties. So we are working with marketing agencies, sales agencies, growth operators to basically have them understand the tool and love the tool, which a lot of people, once they see it, are like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And then they're pushing it out to their client base of like 15 at a time. So we can get $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month from one affiliate. So we're just working on getting every marketing agency, sales agency, growth operator to make this a part of their tool stack. So when they go and onboard a new client, they just immediately have them start using it and then push it across their whole client base.
Yeah, I know a big thing with software too, man. Like you mentioned, the game is like stacking the recurring, right? And so the game is to keep them as clients and retain them and make sure they're happy and getting an ROI if that's what your product is meant to do. But I know a big struggle of software companies, especially that deal with like data and integrating into like existing systems. One is like true implementation of the product. So I'm curious how you're structuring that to like make sure new clients are kind of having a good experience that makes them want to stay. But then 2, also like making sure that they are like properly maintaining and they know that like either they're using it right or not to get the result that they were hoping for. So what's been your experience with that?
I mean, software is just such a heavy game of like product and fulfillment and like listening to customers. Like that's why like I could be making way more money every month right now. I'm just intentionally trying to spend as much time as possible with users and like making the product better. And then like now I can confidently say from June of having our first beta user to end of July onboarding our first 10 beta users and then now, active proactively adding as many customers as, as we can to the platform. Never ending game of like seeing what problems come up for customers, constantly talking with them, and then like building what they want. So yeah, I mean, as far as like integrating with different tools and stuff, like that's definitely been an interesting game because like we integrate with call recording softwares because you guys don't want to like copy and paste your sales calls one by one into our platform. Like you can upload them manually, but no one wants to do that. We got integrations with Fathom and Fireflies, and we'd hop on sales calls, talk with people that want to use it. And they're like, hey, we use Alloware to do all of our sales calls. And I'm like, fuck, like you guys want to pay us and you literally can't pay us right now. So that's been a game of continually adding on different call recording softwares for integrations. So we're now live with Zoom integrations, which is awesome. So anyone who records calls on the cloud recording for Zoom can now use us. Within the next week, we'll be live in the Zoom App Store. So anyone can now find our software inside of the Zoom App Store, which is pretty awesome. We're almost in the Zapier marketplace. So now anyone who doesn't have a direct integration with our software, but can set up with a Zap. Like now we're going to be in the Zapier App Store. So anyone who uses any call recording software with a Zap can basically feed calls into the platform that way. It's definitely a wild ride to make sure that, everyone can be supported and everyone can use our platform.
I don't have any experience with this really, but I know certain companies are picky about who gets access to their API and how much they're going to charge. Was it difficult for you to secure any of these partners, or are there any out there where you're like, we really want this one, but they want to charge us like crazy money? What's that like?
It's really not even like charging you, right? Like most of these companies don't actually charge you for access to their platforms. There's just some softwares that are developer friendly and some that aren't. Fireflies, like anyone can grab their API and like connect it to their software. Like they're pretty developer friendly. Fathom is not developer friendly at all. And a lot of our users use their platform. So some people they're like, we want to build stuff for our users. We don't want you to connect with our stuff. Like if our users want something, we'll just build it for them. So yeah, Fathom is definitely someone that we want quite a bit. Like right now we can support them with like Zapier integration. Like it works just fine. It works flawlessly. Like we basically have just like a custom built Zap to where if you want to use the platform, you just copy and paste it, like press 2 buttons and you're now connected with Fathom. But Fathom is definitely somebody we want.
I was going to ask you, so you're, if I understand right, you're kind of back in like the sales guy seat, right? What's that been like after, running business with whole sales team and now coming back to try and sell like, I don't know, maybe $297 a month or higher, right? What's that like?
It's fun. I love it, dude. I love being back in the seat. It's a blast. It's a good time. What's actually interesting is I ran a survey, like for me, I know VSL book a call funnel is like the back of my hand. So obviously that's what we're going to do. So we did that for a while and that's how we grew. But I quickly realized spending 30 to 45 minutes on a call to make $300 a month is not the best use of time. And we actually had a low, in my eyes, low booking rate from people who hit the VSL page to actually go and like book a call. And it's because people don't want to hop on calls to buy software. Like they just don't. So I actually ran a poll on my email list and my Instagram, and like 96% of people said they'd rather do a free trial than hop on a sales call. So I'm honestly not even having that many sales calls unless I get thrown in a 3-way chat where people are like, hey, we want to use the software, and we hop on a call. But everything's now ran to a free 14-day trial. So anyone can try, go to objectionly.com and like start completely for free on a 14-day trial and just see for yourself like how amazing the product is and like what it could do for you. And like that's been ripping. So that's really not taking too many sales calls apart from like having calls with affiliates and different stuff like that right now.
And this software, is it for any particular industries or any particular salespeople? Like, could I run this for high ticket closer the same way that I would run this for someone that's ripping like cold calls for insurance, or is this built like for particular people?
So a lot of people in the high ticket space are using it right now. We have some software companies using it right now. Like right now we're going after commercial lending companies that sell loans and like B2B SaaS companies, just because there's bigger contracts over there and bigger businesses over there. And like really the bigger the sales team, like the more benefit that they can get out of it. But yeah, I mean, theoretically a sales rep could create an account and, feed their calls into there and they could use it. It's not for them, but they can get value from it. But yeah, insurance is interesting because something that we have to be conscious of is, we're storing a lot of sensitive data. And in the world of insurance, like it's very regulated. We have to stay away from insurance as of today in order to make sure their data security, and I don't want to fuck you with all that, but we have to be careful in the finance sector and in the insurance sector, like doing everything totally by the books with data security and all that stuff.
So when someone onboards into Objectionly and they go to use the product the first time, is it already trained on kind of default best sales practices, or is this something where you need to take like 100 closed call recordings and make sure it's like custom fit to them? Like, how do they know that what they get out of Objectionly is actually going to be relevant to them?
So part of the reason why, we started it in April, and then we got our first customer in June, which was ungodly. It was like the beta of beta users. And then July, end of July, we really took things live. It was because we had to train the model on 10,000 successful sales calls. So I had to manually review a lot of sales calls and mark every objection and every pain point and every aspiration and every buying reason in sales calls. And luckily there were some companies that had a lot of that stuff marked to where I could just feed all of their past marked sales calls in Fathom and stuff into the platform. So you have to basically train the model to be able to correctly identify what a pain point is, what an objection is, what a buying reason is. A question doesn't mean it's an objection, right? So being able to actually mark that stuff from a variety of different industries allowed us to actually be able to correctly identify some of those things. Once you go through the onboarding, you put in a couple questions and answers about your specific business, and then it understands, what you're trying to sell, who you're selling it to, and stuff like that. So you don't have to do any training or uploading any closed deals or any stuff like that.
What's been the hardest part so far of the entire building of the early stage business?
Speed. In the world of services, you can hop on a sales call and someone says they want something and you're like, cool, yeah, I could do it. And then you just tell them that and then you go do it. Here, it's we want to do a certain thing. And it's cool, that's 2 to 3 weeks of dev time. So that's definitely been one of the biggest challenges is someone wanting a new feature or something like that. And it being a 2-3 week delay, right? With getting the Zoom integration, we had to go back and forth with Zoom for a month. They had a team of 5 hackers on their team that had to try to hack our software to see if they could hack it before we were allowed to go in their app store because they didn't want their users getting hacked. So yeah. So it's just speed is hard. And that's why software companies raise capital is because if you have 10 million in the bank, you can go hire 20 developers to go move at different speeds to where you can have 2 developers working on one feature that gets done in a week, but simultaneously you can work on 10 other features with different developers to get stuff done faster, right? When you have 1 or 2 devs, they can focus on one thing at a time and get it done and then do the next thing. And it just inherently makes things move a little bit slower. So that's why these companies raise so much venture capital. A lot of people think it's because of marketing and distribution, which is a piece of it, but a lot of it's just hiring devs.
Do you have any intentions of raising in the near or distant future?
Yeah. So we're not going to raise a pre-seed or a seed. We are going to raise a Series A. So pre-seed is we've not made any money yet. Maybe we have half of a product. Seed is we have a product, we have a customer or 2, we're going to raise capital now. Series A is we're a little bit mature, we're making money. We would be in a Series A category technically now, but I really don't foresee us raising capital for a while. I think we can still bootstrap this for a good amount of time. Ultimately, when we're going to raise Series A is going to be when we've kind of maxed out. We'll have the SMBs and mid-market businesses, any business doing $1 million to $40 million a year, we can service them right now. But, a dream client of ours is JP Morgan, State Farm, Progressive Insurance, these people that have, millions of salespeople, hundreds of thousands of salespeople. And when you sell to American Airlines or JP Morgan or Progressive, it's so risky for them to have their data on other businesses' servers because some of them are publicly traded companies to where you actually have to hire developers to move your whole software inside of their code base. And it requires a lot of developers every time you close a deal. So when we hit that point, we'll have to raise capital to hire a bunch of devs to be able to actually facilitate closing deals like that. So
yeah, devs and salespeople, some of the 2 highest paid people. What's your kind of vision with getting more help on the sales side of things? Do you think you'll be able to do that without raising? We were talking earlier about a software company that, from what I understand, they've done it, right? Do you think you can hire good salespeople without raising? If so, how do you intend on structuring that?
I think we can go a really, really, really long time without hiring salespeople. I really do. Especially with the free trial stuff that we're doing, we pretty much have it cracked now to where we can have people not speak to a human and pay us $1,250 a month, right? So that's pretty much there. I mean, I'm naturally good at sales, so I can go a while before I need that. But there will be a point where we need to hire salespeople outside of me for sure. I just think it's relatively distant in the future.
I think if you can cover all the bases and you don't need a salesperson and you can do it, just have more control, keep a little bit more margin.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, one of my close friends runs $1 billion software company and he doesn't have a sales guy. He's a founder and he sells everything.
What kind of niche is he in?
He's a private guy. He basically...
You don't have to spill the beans, but
he runs a software company that basically helps solar farms. So yeah, he does data analysis of solar farms to detect where they're inefficient and solar panel operates at 100% efficiency. It makes a certain amount of money every single year. Whereas if there's stuff on it, it operates at 60%. So drones analyze the panels to see where there's inefficiencies and then,
Yeah. Makes sense. Big money in solar, dude. All right. So there's a salesperson watching this or a business owner watching this who's like, dude, I'm burnt out with what I'm doing. I feel like I'm really good at sales. I check this box. I'm kind of ready for the next thing. And let's say the next thing for them is software. Like, what kind of warnings or just heads up do you wish you had before you started this? Like, as far as timelines, expectations, how much money it would cost, like that kind of stuff. What do you wish you knew sooner?
Anytime you think something takes a week, double it. Anytime you think something takes a month, double it. Whatever your expectation is for how fast something can come out, double it. Like the amount of times that I've been like, oh, we're going to get this done in like 2 days. Like I'm going to go tell all of our clients that this is going to be ready by Wednesday. And then it's not. Everything will take longer than you expect. AI cannot do all of the work. And you still have to have people that are technical to build the company with you. You can't vibe code and AI your way to building a successful company with a great product. So like get that out of your brain. Like it's not true. It can accelerate some things, but like it can't do all the work. The amount of time and attention and money and effort that goes into building a great product is more than you think. And don't think that it is a marketing and sales game because you have a marketing and sales background. Like it is a product game. Alex Becker from Hyros, he's the make money online guy who got into the software space and everyone kind of looks up to. You ask him, or talk to him or see YouTube videos or stuff like that about him talking. He's literally just like, dude, like it's not hard to sell Hyros. Like it's hard to build Hyros. So just understand like how long of a journey it is and how much goes into it, and make sure that the partners that you bring on that are technical, like you do not cheap out on, like give them a chunk of equity, and then make sure you write that contract in a way that protects yourself in case it doesn't work out. But yeah, like you are not the star of the show as a marketing and sales guy. Like your CTO and your technical co-founder is the star of the show. Like it is very challenging.
Yeah. What would you say to the sales guy who's like, yeah, I want to build a software company, but I don't have that much money? Can they still make something happen? Should they like reset their expectations? Like what would you say?
You can do it. It's actually not that expensive to build. It's expensive to build, but I would say the real expense is your income being zero until it's done. That's more expensive than the actual building of the software, as long as you're comfortable with giving up equity instead of compensating a US-based developer to build everything for you. It's really not that expensive to build. It's just, if you're not accelerating it with money, you're accelerating it with time. And that's just like, you got to choose which one you're paying with.
What do you have in mind for projections for Objectionly in the next like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months?
I'd say by the end of 2025, we'll be doing about $100,000 a month. So that puts us at about a $12 million valuation. So that's the goal by end of year, is to hit that mark. We operate at like pretty good margins and different stuff like that. So that's nice. But yeah, that's the goal by the end of the year. Starting in 2026, and even like now, we're really just working. Like I love and respect, everyone in the agency and coaching world. Like we are stacking a lot of those customers, but we're really going after like big fish and like really big companies right now, and intentionally not being as public with everything that it is that we're doing, because when you see a lot of flashy stuff online, like they really don't want you to be showing all that and doing all that. Like these bigger guys want you to be a little bit more private. So yeah, we're really staying in that world to where we're closing 1-year contracts, 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year contracts, and just working with bigger companies and working on closing bigger deals that take longer to close, which is very different from the one-day sales cycles I'm used to.
So if you're not driving people to a sales call, are you doing like free trial? Then when they enroll, do you try to like then see if they're interested in an annual contract? Is that how you do it?
So with the bigger businesses and kind of the whales that we're talking about, like that's absolutely, all sales calls and all that stuff. Like a $200 million a year company, they're not just going to hop on a free trial. Maybe, I would appreciate it, but they won't. Yeah, like these sub 10, 20 million a year companies, like they'll go on a free trial and they'll start using the software without speaking to a human. But yeah, like the bigger businesses, they don't do that. They pretty much hop on sales calls, and it's a longer process and it's a custom contract and all that stuff with them.
I was going to ask you this too, because this is something I've taken into consideration, and you just kind of hit on it with, these big companies don't want to see you acting stupid on social media, whatever. But like, how much are you using, aside from your connections, like how much are you using your personal brand to drive the growth here versus, the name of Objectionly itself or stuff of that matter?
Early days and even now, like from HireSalesJobs.io, we had Slack Connect channels with 75 different sales teams that were using us for salespeople. So that was a huge lift in just having direct contact to CEOs, sales managers, marketing guys in 75 different companies that we were staffing, to where we were placing sales reps largely for free for a majority of these businesses. So we had a good amount of goodwill, and that was a big accelerant in things early days and even now. So there's that. YouTube is still big for us. LinkedIn is my personal name, and that's something that we're growing. Like we're running LinkedIn ads right now. Yeah, I mean, YouTube is still there. Like I'll still be posting on, different socials and stuff, but just a little bit more careful in what I say and how I say it to make sure that I don't look like a dipshit to a billion-dollar company.
I was going to ask you last thing, kind of going back to, advice to someone who might be looking to take that next step, similar to you. Your first couple of hires, your first 2, 3 hires, I don't know how big the team is right now, but if someone's looking to build not the same thing, but like a software, what would you recommend as far as hires that were beneficial for you right in the beginning?
CTO. You need someone that is as bought in on the vision and sees the long-term vision as you, who can just obsess over product and coding and customer feedback and all of that stuff. That is the one person you need. And really, if you're good at marketing and sales and client acquisition, you and one other guy can fucking run it up without needing any employees for a very long time before you need more people. We'll probably grab we're actually hiring a VA right now for softwares that we don't support that also are on Zapier, literally being able to just copy and paste all the calls into our software every single day. But a VA to do a little customer support and some weird kind of scrappy stuff like that. CTO and one other guy that has a skill set similar to mine can really run it up without needing hires for a very long time.
In the CTO, man, so you're hiring for a role that you've never worked, right? Or you're giving people equity. I'm curious, the CTO that you hire, you have a big vision for this. You don't want anyone who's just going to half-ass it. Are you going out a lot out of pocket to give them salary, or are they just fully bought in on the vision? They're a lot of equity. How did you structure that to make sure that they were truly bought in as much as you were?
I mean, he's pretty successful. He's sold a software company before that he built and ran by himself with no employees. So he knows the drill. He knows that, we're not going to get rich month one. He sees the long-term vision. So it's a lot of selling, honestly. It's selling them on the vision. And I mean, I don't know if the question is geared more towards how do you structure equity and contracts and stuff for a role like this? Is that kind of the question?
Well, just how do you incentivize them? Because it sounds like this guy, but if you're just a sales guy with an idea for a software and I'm going around talking to developers, they're going to be how do I know that this guy's actually serious? So how are you showing that you have skin in the game besides just saying, oh yeah, I have $100 million idea, because they've probably seen that a few times.
It's definitely a developer joke for people to be hey, I have this really cool idea. I'm going to give you 5% equity. Go build it.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? No, fuck off. Yeah, it's definitely a strong developer joke for the idea guy to come in with 95% equity and have them build everything from scratch and make no money. So yeah, I mean, I think number one, you have to burn the boats I did. I mean, granted, I sold higher startups, so that definitely helped. But you have to burn the boats. You have to let them know that you're actually all in on this too. You can't expect them to quit everything they're doing and drop everything while you are still making 25 grand a month with your sales role, or you're still running a cash flow business too, and you don't have your eye fully on the ball. You have to show real sacrifices. I mean, I told this guy, I was I shut down a business that was doing 100 to 150 grand a month. I had to let everyone go. I will not take $1 out of this business for as long as I need to not do it. And if I have to move in with my fucking parents, I will do that. I'm doing this for the next 20 years, whether you do it or not. I will not sell this company for less than $100 million. And you can either be here for that ride or you can not be here for that ride, but someone's going to be here for that ride. And you're going to kick yourself in a couple years when we start making headlines and you didn't take this ride with me. So And I think your conviction just kind of has to transfer over to them. You have to actually have a big vision. You have to be 2 feet in. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out to the vision if you want them to be all the way in too.
I have just a couple more questions. We'll keep them pretty short because I realize we're pushing up on time, but it's been a good episode, right? You mentioned 100 million. You also mentioned 20 years. Is there a mark in your head where it's okay, if I hit 100 million, that's when I'll hang it up and go retire to some European village or something? Or do you just want to run it up for the sake of the game? Are you looking to eventually sell it? Is selling the point of it, or is it just running it up, playing the game? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, the thought of retiring and going to a European village sounds awful. I would just be empty. I'm what would I do now? You know what I mean? I like building shit. It's fun. I'm not building it to exit. Exiting would be cool, but the way I view it is, if I were to sell this company for 20 million bucks, there's just going to be someone smarter than me that sees a clear gap in the business to where they know they could grow it exponentially if they came in and bought it. And they would not tell me my blind spot, buy it, and then grow it and go sell it for $1 billion. So it's I could just learn or figure out what I'm missing that these people see that makes them want to buy it. Like companies don't get sold, they get bought. And understanding why that person would buy and what they would do the next day, like you could just do that stuff and then grow it more. So it's like, I have no intention of building this just to sell it really quick and have a nice day. I mean, don't get me wrong, like $20 million I could live on for the rest of my life and probably be fine, you know, but like, I want to build like big shit and I think it'd be fun. And I think I'm more into the entrepreneurial evolution of seeing like running a business like at that level and what's next. And like, what's it like working with a publicly traded company and what's it like having an offer for $80 million and declining it? You know what I mean? Like, what's it like having hundreds of employees? What's it like having a board of directors and investors? And what's it like raising capital from investors? Like, I'm more into understanding what the game is like at different levels. And if that ends in a sale, like cool. But ultimately, like, I'm very obsessed with this business. I see myself doing it for a long time. If that means I sell it or if that means I keep running it, like, I'm very happy with both endings of that.
So speaking of the evolution, man, let's get a little holistic here and then we'll wrap this up. When you think of the skill of sales and like your effort to go and learn it, apply it, build upon it, going all the way back selling shoes to, you know, being a rep, closing Bible, now running Objectionly, which, you know, you're taking your big swing. You know, how much do you think your life has changed or benefited just by you committing to that skill? And I'm just curious your thoughts on just like choosing this path to begin with. It sounds like you're happy you did it, but I wanted to kind of get your elaboration on just like committing to sales.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason when I was considering dropping out of college and I called every single person on my phone that made any money at all, they all just laughed and like, dude, just get in sales. It is the thing to do. Like, that is what you absolutely should do because like, if you sell, you never have to worry about where your next dollar is going to come from. You don't ever have to worry about what happens if I get fired. It is a skill to where you can fucking lose everything and still pull 6 figures in a month out of your ass. You know what I mean? Like, you will always be able to eat and be good and have a peace of mind in any life risk or life transition that you take if you know that you could sell. So, I mean, it is the most invaluable skill. And like, originally that starts with selling to customers and then it evolves into selling employees on your vision and hiring them. And then it evolves into investors. And like, it is never not selling affiliates. Like, it is never not beneficial to know how to sell.
Yeah. And I know you said you're, you know, cautious of like what you're sharing on social media and all that. But if I remember right, like you got a 6 spot in Chicago, you've been able to go around Miami. I don't remember if you're married or engaged.
Engaged. May 30th, we'll be married.
Okay, nice. So you're, you know, providing at a high level, you're setting yourself up, your family, like, I don't know. I know that's important to me and I can speak on that as well. Like, dude, getting into sales and putting one foot in front of the other, like it really does set you up. And I think you can equally share that experience, right? Which is super fulfilling.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I have, you know, family that need to get retired. You know, they got a house to pay for. I've helped them with their mortgage a little bit, which is cool. I definitely don't want my fiance and soon to be wife working at a certain point in time. She grew up in a very traditional, you know, Mexican family. Like, she's fucking crushed it in sales. I got her in high ticket sales. She's managed sales teams. She was a co-owner of Closing Bible with me, but, you know, she wants to be a full-time influencer now and potentially just not work in the future. And I would love to just have her not have to work or not do anything. And I could just support everyone. I want to be able to support my entire family. When I have kids, I want to be able to fully retire my family. And it's, you know, it's very real and possible thing.
Because of sales, man.
Because of sales.
There you go. Set you up for that one. No, man, I think that's a good spot to end. We ran for a good time. We'll edit this one up and it'll probably chop off a little bit. But man, where can people find you? Like, where's the best place?
Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Garrett Campbell. I got enough clout on enough. Hopefully you can find me by searching my name. So yeah, you can find me on one of those 3. I got platforms on others, but those are my main ones.
And for people that are listening to this and they're like, I want to use Objectionly, I mean, we can put a link down below, but like, not sure how the process would go if it's like a salesperson. It's like, hey, go tell your manager about this, or how would that work?
I mean, yeah, go to objectionly.com, like start a free trial, like see for yourself, like how cool it is and just use it for free. But yeah, I mean, if you're a sales guy and you're like, hey, my sales manager doesn't review that many of my sales calls, like it would be cool if he had a tool that would make it easier for him to do that. Yeah. I mean, throw me in a 3-way group chat on Instagram, throw me in a 3-way chat on text, whatever platform of you're choosing. And we can get your sales manager start to use Objectionly.
Sweet. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You guys watched this far. Thank you for watching. Go connect with Garrett, go use the software, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
All right, guys, that was the pod with Garrett. Honestly, a pretty fun episode just catching up with him. We hadn't chatted in a while. It sounds like Objectionly is up to a pretty good start, and it's going to be cool to see over the course of the next year, 2 years, 3, 5 years, what he does with this. Man, to shut down a business that does 6 figures a month, to go all in on a software that makes $0 a month at the time of you doing it, that's a big move. So respect to him for that. If you guys want to connect with Garrett, his stuff is going to be down below. I would also recommend using Objectionly if it makes sense for you to do so. That's it for this episode, you guys. Before we get out of here, just go down below, subscribe to the first link in description. It's free. It always will be. 1 email, once a week, a 5-minute read. Stay up to date with what's happening in the land of sales professionals. We try to make it fun, interactive, and not just some boring sales training email. So go subscribe, and we've got a banger coming to you guys next week. We'll see you there. Take care.